Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our second LinkedIn workshop of the semester. We had our first LinkedIn workshop back in January called LinkedIn 101, where Ryan and Evelyn went over the LinkedIn profile page and how to best optimize that. So if you're interested in reviewing that recording, you can go onto our USC Career Center YouTube page. But today we'll be specifically talking about LinkedIn networking, and both Ryan and Leo here will be discussing how to network with peers, recruiters, and experts to expand your network and also stand out during your job search process. So I will start with Ryan's bio really quickly. Ryan is a Southern California native and attended USC with a Navy scholarship as part of the NROTC program. After graduating with a business degree, he was commissioned in the U.S. Navy's FIFE program, and he settled back in SoCal in 2009, working in the e-learning industry. LinkedIn came along 7 years ago, and it fit perfectly with his passion for learning, allowing him to live out the LinkedIn ethos, dream big, have fun, and get stuff done. Now, working specifically with California colleges and universities, it is his mission to make sure every student knows how and why to use LinkedIn to create their professional brand. And Leo Zhang is a junior and an international student at USC Marshall. And he is majoring in business administration with an emphasis in business analytics. And on campus, Leo is involved in a student organization called Business Technology Group, and he interned for the USC Provost IT department as a business analysis intern. Leo also has a great interest in the aviation industry. So this upcoming summer, he will be working for Southwest Airlines in Dallas, Texas, as a marketing analytics intern. And he is going to discover more about the corporate side of the industry. So thank you both for joining us today. And I will hand off the mic to Ryan now.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sarah, for the invite. And thanks to all of you for joining us. So real quickly about me, I just want to let you know what my role is at LinkedIn. So I actually am in sales. I'm an individual contributor. I've been working for LinkedIn at 7 years, and I sell a product called LinkedIn Learning and our LinkedIn Talent Solution. Quick plug for LinkedIn Learning. You all have access to it for free because USC has paid for it for every single student. If you're a current student, you have access to it, student, faculty, or staff. So quick plug there. I do these workshops as kind of an aside, as a secondary thing to my role, because I'm really passionate about spreading the LinkedIn message and telling anybody who wants to listen how best to use the platform. And so I'm really fortunate to live locally and to get to work with USC on a regular basis. I want to let Leo introduce himself a little bit more and give you a little bit more background about himself, and then we will jump into it. So go ahead, Leo.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Leo. I'm a junior at USC Marshall, as Sarah just mentioned. I'm currently studying abroad in Portugal through the USC Marshall International Exchange Program. I'm really happy to connect with Trojans from this far away. I met Ryan through multiple LinkedIn workshops as well as a career mentorship program through USC Marshall. And I've learned a lot about LinkedIn and career advices through him. And the goal of me being here today is just to provide you guys with some real life example of how to network with people and to supplement whatever Ryan has prepared for you guys. So thank you.
Thank you, Leo. I really appreciate you being here. And so like he was saying, what we want to do is we want to make this as interactive as possible. And it's really about you all. So feel free to drop questions in the chat, whether it's directed to me or to Leo. We're here for you. What I want to do now is I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to go through some documentation that LinkedIn has put together on the value of growing your network. I think we all know the value of growing your network. I think we pretty much know that, but I want to go into that. And then what we'll do is I'll actually go into live demonstrations of how you can use LinkedIn. And in between those, we really have Leo here to show you and tell you how he's used it. So I'm excited for you all to hear that. So let's start with kind of level setting on why you should be networking. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen real quickly. And let me go ahead and put this on present mode. Okay, so when we think about building your professional network, I think we all know that it is super important and why you should be doing that on LinkedIn. it's really about thinking how the network can work for you and what it's going to do for you, not only now, but really in the future, right? So when we think about this, one of the things that people don't realize is just how powerful having a network is. We know that 50% of all hires are result from a personal connection. And so obviously the more personal connections you have, the better. So when we think about networking and when we think about where networking has been forever, it's all about how do I meet somebody personally and get to know them? And while that is a very important thing, right? This is a great example now with Leo and myself, where we met each other on campus, we know each other personally, and that's a powerful relationship. But the thing about social media and why social media is so different and why networking on LinkedIn is so different, it's really the power of your second and third degree connections. That is really where your network starts to really, the power of networking really starts to get exponentially large. And the reason for that is because of how you can use the network and because of the sheer fact that there are way more people in your second and third degree connections than there are your first degree connections. If we think about this, right, if I have 500 first degree connections and each one of my first degree connections has 500 people in their first degree connections, I now have 250,000 people in my secondary connection. That's how quickly it grows. And I can't do the math. If I'd had each one of them had 500, it's a lot, right? So your third degree connections are even further out. And so when you think about social media and how powerful your connections are, your third degree connections are more powerful than your first, just for the sheer volume of them. And so the more connections you get, that's the power of networking on social media and the power of networking on LinkedIn. Now, invitations, when you reach out to people, I think you all know this, but really customizing the invitation request is imperative. They don't know who you are. And so I'm assuming they don't know who you are, right? If they don't know who you are, they're really going to need to know why you're reaching out to them and what you're trying to do. So growing your network strategically and actually doing a connection request and customizing the connection request is super important. Now, when you're on LinkedIn on the desktop, it automatically prompts you to customize your connection request. It'll say, do you want to customize your connection request? I highly recommend that you do. Unfortunately, on the app, it's buried a little bit. And so on the app, what you're going to want to do is not tap on the person icon or not tap on connect. You're going to tap on these three dots that are next to it. It's a drop-down menu and you tap on personalized invite. That's the best way to do that on the phone so that you can actually say who you are and what you're doing, why you're reaching out. And we're going to go into more depth on some of the ideas and some of the things that you can think of when you're reaching out to people. But just as an overview, you really want to customize your invite. Now, there are ways to discover existing connections. You can actually go into the My Network tab and start navigating and start, growing your network organically with people that you know. Friends and family are always great. Any of your colleagues, you want to try to connect with them as well. So when you first jump into LinkedIn, one of the things that people don't know about LinkedIn is that we eliminate 99% of fake profiles. I don't know of any other social media platform that does the same thing we do. I'd love to, if you know of one, drop it in the chat, but I don't know of any social media platform that eliminates fake profiles, or we do our best to do that. And so one of the things how that impacts you, if you are a younger person or you haven't used LinkedIn as much, is we need to make sure you're a real person before we start opening up all of the alumni tabs and all of these features and functionality. And so one way to start growing your network organically is with people you know. And so I would definitely start there if you have a smaller network now. You can go in and start searching for new connections. You can search by name, you can search by company, keyword, location. So it's easy to start growing your network with the search filter on LinkedIn. Like, this is a really old school way of going about it. But if you want to start growing your network that way, you can do that as well. Once you click on connect, you can actually personalize the invite. And again, highly recommend you to do that. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes. Expanding your network strategically is really important as well. Having a commonality is really a great way to start growing your network. And we'll jump into, I'm going to show you on LinkedIn how to find anyone that has gone to USC on LinkedIn within a matter of clicks. So that's one thing you have in common with them. Another thing you may have in common with them is maybe backgrounds or, other schooling that you may have done or sports or whatever it may be. You can actually do some more detailed searches to find people that have more of a common background as you or a common interest as you. People work at the same job or companies that interest you. Connecting with them is imperative. If you have a first degree connection at the job at which you apply, you're 3 times more likely to get that job. That is huge. And so you can connect with anybody. There are 900 million people. We just eclipsed 900 million people on LinkedIn. I guarantee you there's somebody working at the company that you want to work for on LinkedIn. And so you can actually connect with that person. There's also the ability to maybe connect with those that are connectors that can help you reach somebody else. Things that you should always say, you should always start with who you are, how you came across their profile, and how they can help. Like, it's just kind of a bare minimum, but it's like they're going to want to know who you are because I think I mentioned at the beginning, right? I'm in sales. And so we kind of ruin it for a lot of people because they're always thinking somebody's trying to sell them something. And so you want to make sure if you're reaching out to them that they know that you're not trying to sell them something. And in my opinion, you should always lead with you're a current student. If you're a current student, you should be leading with that because it reduces the barrier and it reduces it just increases the likelihood that somebody's actually going to reach out to you and work with you. So you can also use your network to connect to opportunity, right? So you can direct message your connections. So once you're a first degree connection, you can message that person anytime. If you are not connected to that person and you're just following that person, you really can't message them. You can only do that 3 times in total per month. We do that for a variety of reasons, not the least of which is that it reduces harassment and bullying. We're trying to end harassment and bullying on our platform. And when you can't just indiscriminately blast people, it reduces harassment and bullying. We'll talk about asking for informational interviews. We're going to go in depth with that. It's super, super important. Requesting referrals, recommendations, and finding a mentor. So really, really important. LinkedIn members are 9 times more likely to get hired when they are referred. It's just pretty simple. If you can get somebody and develop a relationship with somebody and have them help you with a referral, it's kind of bananas. So with that, I want to turn it over and I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. And what I want to do is I want to turn it over to Leo and I want him to just give his take on a few minutes of like how he's used LinkedIn so you can hear it from a student's perspective. Go ahead, Leo.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm going to share my screen real quick. So I'm currently on my LinkedIn page, and this is where I do most of my networking through LinkedIn. My personal approach kind of resonated with what Ryan just said, is to really, really customize that message. As you can see from this bar, I kind of don't have the same, hey, I'm Leo, like message for every single person. I kind of customize based on where I know them from, how I come across their profile and everything. I do know some of my friends really like mass messaging on LinkedIn to get connections, and I've seen it work for a lot of time. But personally, for me, it doesn't make sense in the long run, because what if you set up an informational interview call with that person and you're like, okay, I have to scramble to get to know them through their LinkedIn page. What about before you connect with them, you just kind of get a gist of what they're doing and what like how their like career path interests you, what maybe even come up with several questions to follow up before they even connect with you. So that's what I do. Definitely not mass messaging. I do want to show you 2 examples of how I've networked. So first example is with Ryan. So I've built my relationship kind of offline, away from LinkedIn with Ryan on campus, but we actually use LinkedIn to communicate a lot because, for example, right now I'm not in LA, I'm studying abroad. We've been like texting and messaging and setting up calls through LinkedIn, basically. So the other day last semester, I competed in a business case competition at USC Marshall. I wanted Ryan to know about it because he is a part of my network. I would like to keep updating him of what I'm doing with my career path, also academically at school. And I just shared a little post I posted on LinkedIn with him. And he said, "No, nice work." And that's just like a really good way to catch up. Also over the summer, I was a little confused on how to find people's email on LinkedIn, because a lot of professionals on LinkedIn, they don't like to put their company or private email under the info section. Ryan gave me several pointers how to find them. It could be just a Google search, just advices like that. So really just messaging, not even setting up that call, can give you a lot of advantage already. I also want to show you guys how I network with, I believe she's graduated already, and she's working at American Airlines. She graduated from USC Marshall. Her name is Christy, and as Sarah mentioned before, I'm very interested in the aviation industry. So that is what I want to do for the future, at least for now. I understand that she was an international student and she got an offer at American Airlines through my career advisor at USC Marshall. So I found her on LinkedIn and basically shoot her a message. "Hey, Christy, so nice to talk to you," because we connected over USC email first. And then we set up a Zoom call. So I was like, I would love to like learn more. Let's keep in touch. And in February, I was offered an interview with another airline company for their second round interview. So I said, "Christy, do you have any advice on how to prepare for this second round interview?" She said, "Congrats." And she told me basically, "Okay, this is what I experienced and this is what I think you should do." And she even like went further to share like a case book with me, because I've never had any market sizing experience. If you're into consulting, you probably know that at that time. So I really used this case book to prepare for the interview as well. And then later on, fast tracking to now, I just recently got an offer from Southwest Airlines for the summer. I updated her because she is working for American Airlines in Dallas as well. So I was like, I would love to catch up. Thank you so much for all your help. And I'm pretty sure we're going to meet over summer in Dallas. So networking is really just like breaking out of your comfort zone and really just embracing the conversation. So that's just my take on it.
I love it. Really quick question for you, or not really a question for you, Leo, but just one thing I want to double down on. When you post content on LinkedIn, which is what he was talking about initially when he shared with me his post, right? That is really taking advantage of the LinkedIn network. That is a big deal. And oftentimes, what the power of your network, again, your second and third degree connections, it really starts to show itself when you post content, which is coincidentally enough, the next workshop we're going to do is we're going to talk only about posting content. But if you have a network and you're younger and you have, let's say 40 or 100 or 500 people in your network, not all of them are going to see that. And so what Leo did, and what I thought was really great, is if you have a post and you've got some strategic people in your network that you want them to see the post, and you really can't tag them in the post because it's not really relevant to them. So for example, Leo's post wasn't relevant to me. He didn't need to tag me in the post. That would have, I guess he could have, but it really wasn't about that, right? Instead, he messaged me and said, "Hey, I did this post. Would you mind, taking a look at it?" I'm of course going to be able to take a look at it. And when I like it and I comment on it, then it goes into my feed. And because I've, have a larger network, now his post can be seen by many more people. So his impressions in this post, he had about 6,800 impressions. That's a good amount. That's a really solid post on LinkedIn. And one way he easily increased the number of people that looked at it was by reaching out to me and just letting me know through DM. So again, networking that way makes a big impact. Anything else you want to cover, Leo, before I start jump into more of what I wanted to cover?
I
Or
think
you
that
come
will
back
be
to you?
it for my part. I'm definitely like open to Q&A after for sure.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Sounds good. All right, everybody, let me go ahead and jump into showing you what I wanted to show you. Let me go ahead and go here. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. By the way, speaking of networking, we'll go ahead and do this right now before I forget, because I have a really bad memory. So I'm going to go ahead and drop my name in the chat, and you all are more than welcome to connect with me. Boom. So feel free to connect with me. And by the way, since we're here and you're going to USC, you don't necessarily need to do a message in the connection request. But if you want to do a message, you can. But in this sort of instance, you don't really necessarily need to, because I've asked you all to connect with me. All right. So a few different ways that are really important to be able to go and find connections. Let's start with the USC homepage. The USC, we call this a school page. Every single college and university in North America, pretty much so, any large or decent sized college or university in the world has a school page. This is a free page for colleges and universities to have a LinkedIn presence. Within this school page, every school page has an alumni tab. So one of the things that LinkedIn is trying to do when we think about networking and growing your network is we are trying to connect you to opportunity. LinkedIn's ethos is to connect individuals to make them more productive and successful. Our vision is to try to help create economic opportunity for every member of the global workforce. And we realized, this was funny because I got hired about 7 years ago, and this alumni tab wasn't really prevalent back then. It happened right around the time I got hired, where our engineers were like, hey, we have enough data now where when people are on LinkedIn and they tell us what school they go to, we can just loop that information right into LinkedIn, right into that school page, so that it's really designed for you as students and alumni to find one another. And so it's really a simple platform, okay? We have about 350,000 people on LinkedIn that say they've gone to USC. We tell you where they work, so what companies they work for. We tell you where they live. We tell you what they do for a living. Oops, somebody just messaged me. We tell you what they do for a living and even what skills they have. We can make this interactive if you want to. Oh, wait, so it looks like we got a question here. What are impressions? Impressions are the number of people that have actually looked at your post. So when you have a like, that's an interaction, that's an impression, but it also is more than that if you have a like or a comment. But an impression is just basically somebody actually took a second and looked at your post and clicked on your post. So impressions are a big deal. Thanks for the question. Look how quickly my network is growing. See, this is why I love doing these workshops, Leo, because I just put my name in the chat and it's like people start connecting with me. So,
Should I do that too?
You should, if you want to, my friend. Don't feel pressure. Don't feel pressure by me. But I do think, by the way, just kind of taking a step back when we think about growing your network and just connecting with anybody. I feel like if you're early on in your career, you should be connecting with just about anybody. Again, first of all, you don't know who you're connected to, who they're connected to, right? So Leo, you accept a connection request from somebody that might be a plumber. Well, you don't know that plumber could be connected to a CEO, right? And so we just don't know where their second and third level connections are. Remember also, and it is important for me, I have a daughter who is a senior in college right now, and I feel comfortable telling her to connect with anybody because we do try to eliminate harassment and bullying. Again, you should be able to see their profile, their complete profile. So you should be able to get a good idea if this person is legit or not. And again, we eliminate most most fake profiles. So in my humble opinion, you should be growing your network with just about anybody out there, because it can really only help you. And again, if they do end up saying or doing something goofy, because again, we're not a perfect platform and there are always weird people out there, you can always block them. And again, they can't go and create another profile and they can't harass you. It's just much more difficult. So I do think it's a good idea. Got another question in the chat. What does connect with somebody mean? What does enabled you that you can do before? Oh, Tori, good question. I probably should have drilled down on that. So when you connect with somebody, that means that the person on the other end that accepts that says, I want to be able to see your content and you can see my content. I want to be able to message you and you message me. It's a two-way street. And so then you have the ability to message as many times as you want to. And so that's why some people are like, oh, I don't know if I want to connect with this person because maybe they're going to just like blast me with, they're going to do sales tactic or whatever, right? A follow, and you'll notice here I'm following the USC page as an alum. You can also follow people. So let's say I wanted to follow Sarah. That's a one-way street, meaning that I can, once I follow her, all of her content, the content she posts goes on my feed and I get to see her content, but I can't message her because she hasn't given me permission with that first degree connection. So connect is much more powerful than a follow. So a good example of this is if you're trying to reach out to people, and I'm going to show you this right now, and you want to do an informational interview, you really need to connect with them because you need to be able to message them. A recruiter, on the other hand, they might not want to connect with you because recruiters get everybody trying to connect with them. So you might want to follow recruiters. And you can follow them and see the content that they're posting, and then you can maybe comment on their posts and you can add value that way. So that's the beauty of a follow, is that you can follow anybody, but you can't message them. Did you have anything you wanted to add to that, Leo, or from your perspective?
Yeah, I can actually show an example of, so there are basically two types of people I really network with. One is within our Trojan network, whether them being alumni, professors, my manager at work at USC, or people you know from career fairs who are in their early careers. Those people who are connected to USC somehow. Another category are potential employers. And within that category, I really break it down into HR/recruiters, and then people in your specific role, basically. So I actually kind of network kind of differently with HR recruiters and with people that's actually on the team that you want to work for, or like people in specific role that you're interested in, that kind of thing. So if you don't mind me sharing the screen, I can show two examples.
Go for it.
So actually, one thing I was going to mention is that LinkedIn helped me immensely with my summer internship job search. So I'll pull up, so I'm going to intern for Southwest Airlines for this summer. And I actually connected with their recruiter for the early careers program in 2022 when I applied for the first time, and I didn't get any interviews, but I kept her within my network and I messaged her more. And this year when I applied again, I messaged her again, and she was really happy to connect with me again. And we actually hop on a call to talk about all these logistical things. For example, for one, I'm an international student. I see a lot of international students here as well. One thing we all have to worry about is if the position sponsors visa later on, or do they accept CPT or OPT, right? So those kind of logistical things, usually they won't really communicate with you directly through an email or through LinkedIn messages because it's always in a gray area. And this is when it comes in handy when you keep them in your network, even though you didn't really get the opportunity to interview with them earlier on. And for my specific interview that I got this semester, I actually really just did like a search, Southwest Airline performance analyst, and I found this guy who's on the team. So I was like, let me message him. So that's exactly what I did. I said, hey, I'm Leo. I'm a third-year business analytics student at USC Marshall. I saw that you are on the business performance team at Southwest, and I would love to learn more about your role. Would you be available for a quick chat? Thank you for your time in advance. Just a quick message like that. And he connected, and we basically exchanged availability. We set up a call. And eventually the call was very informational. I really understood what the team was doing. And at the end of the call, I dropped the message to him. I was like, hey, I didn't tell you this before, but I already got the chance to interview with you on Thursday. Thank you so much for providing me with all these information. And I was able to even show my face before I interviewed with them or met most of the team for the first time. So it felt great. It gave me more confidence when I was interviewing with them as well, because I know someone that I've talked to on the team, and I'm catering all my answers toward what he says he really values for candidates that are looking for this position. So that's just two small instances of how I network with recruiters as well as people that's actually in the position on the team that you want to be on.
I love it. That's perfect. Can you, well, I was going to have you navigate, but I will navigate now. It's because I want to show
Oh.
some of the things. It's okay. Don't worry about it, my friend. Don't worry about it because I'll show. But basically what Leo did there was took control of his destiny, right? And that's the power of social media, and that's the power of these platforms that are out there. Of course, I'm biased. I work for LinkedIn, but LinkedIn is really the only social media platform that's designed to try to connect you to opportunity. You could try to find them on other platforms, but really, LinkedIn is where all of us go to keep our professional brand and our professional lives. And so I'm going to jump back into LinkedIn and show you some tips on how you can find those folks. But at the end of the day, how many, I mean, I'll jump on to Southwest, but how many people work at Southwest that are on LinkedIn? It's got to be tens of thousands, right?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I'll show you how to find out. I'll show you how to find out right now, right? And so one of the things that is has taken me far in my career as a salesperson is this idea of what do I have in my control? Like, there are things I can control, there are things I can't control. One of the things I can control is how many people I do outreach to in order to try to close a deal. So I know that if I've given a goal by my manager, hey Ryan, you have to, bring in this much revenue. And then I break that down. I go, okay, I need to close this many deals with this average deal size in order to hit that revenue. Okay, well, how many meetings do I have to close that many deals? How many opportunities? How many meetings? In order to get those meetings, how many calls? How many emails do I have to do? Right? You understand that we call it a sales funnel, and it starts with putting as much stuff in the top of the funnel, which is direct outreach. So when I first started long story short, I had to change careers midway through my 30s because of the economy. And I started working in software, and I started over again. I had to start from scratch. And they're like, you need to make 60 calls a day in order to try to hit your number. And I went to the top rep, who happened to be a recent college graduate. And I'm like, hey, what did you do? And he's like, well, they told me to do 60. I did 90. I'm like, all right, I did 120. Right. And the reason I knew that is because the more dials I do, the more people I talk to, the more opportunities I get, the more I close. And it changed my life. I was able to get promoted from that job, and it changed my life. They moved me to California. All of that happened because I was like, I'm not going to just do the minimum. I'm going to do as many as possible. And these are the types of things that Leo and others are doing with LinkedIn, which is like, yo, there are 900 million people on LinkedIn, and all of them are on this guy right here. So the only thing really stopping you from doing outreach is really you. Because like, what is the worst thing that can happen when you do outreach? What's the worst thing that's happened to you, Leo, when you do outreach and you blindly connect with somebody?
They don't connect with me.
Exactly. They ghost you. Like, has anybody ever reached out to you and been like, don't ever message me? No. People don't do that. I mean, we don't have the time to do that. They'll just ghost you. So it's kind of a beautiful thing when you're like, holy crap, there are 350,000 USC alumni. If you do 5 connection requests a day, how quickly is your network going to grow, right? So it's all literally in the palm of your hand. And these are the things that why I'm so grateful to have you, Leo, is that, you're pushing out of your comfort zone as a young person, doing outreach to these people that are further along in their career. And it is a little bit nerve-wracking, but once you do it, it's a game changer. Would you agree? Yeah, I mean, it's made a big impact for you, and you've been able to get where you want, have great contacts and connections. I was asked a question in the chat, by the way, about where you can learn to navigate LinkedIn. And so what I did while Leo, you were chatting, is I dropped a link to the USC library website. You all have access to LinkedIn Learning on that site, on that page. And when you do connect with LinkedIn Learning, when you sign up for LinkedIn Learning through USC, you can connect your LinkedIn profile. And when you go onto the LinkedIn Learning account, I'll just, again, quick plug because it's super important. We have about 17,000 courses here that are going to help you get where you want to go. So you want to learn more about networking? We got it. You want to learn more about your network? We've got it. You want to learn more about how to use LinkedIn? We've got it. We've got a ton of content. So there's a ton of content here to help you learn how to use LinkedIn as well as other things. Now, kind of getting back to your initial question, which I really appreciate, like navigating LinkedIn is pretty daunting. The thing I can tell you most, and here I would love, Leo, for your perspective especially, it's like you can't ever learn without just doing. And so my suggestion is to start, just get in there, get your profile to where you feel comfortable with it. If you haven't seen our workshop, it's recorded and you can watch our workshop. We also have a course on LinkedIn Learning, but get your profile where you want it to be. And then just start trolling through LinkedIn and seeing what people do, and start clicking away and saying, okay, how does the job board work, right? How does my network work? You're not going to break anything when you start clicking around. And that's one thing I would do, is just maybe trade TikTok time for LinkedIn time. And I'm not saying all your TikTok time, because I'm obsessed with TikTok too. Okay. I blame my daughter for that. I was perfectly happy not being on TikTok until she introduced it to me. But I'm not saying, spend all your TikTok time on LinkedIn, but spend a little bit of time every day and you'll really start to get to understand it. Leo, how about you, man? When you started, how did you overcome your, I don't want to say fear, but how'd you get to know the platform?
Well, firstly, through you. If you think back to my profile from now, it's definitely more completed and more personalized, and more, I included several like fun things in there to just show people who connected with me that I'm a person too.
Right.
It's not just another version of my resume or another version of like the stuff you would send in. Maybe it's more like a cover letter in a sense, but for example, the about section, but I use it mostly to talk about my life journey, how I ended up at USC, how that is going to benefit my career goals and career path. That's what I talked about. But on cover letters, I wouldn't necessarily do that. I would just connect all my experiences to what they need. That's what I would do on a cover letter. So I definitely didn't do it overnight. I had even like 2 days ago, I was updating my LinkedIn profile because now I'm studying abroad and I want people to be able to see what
Mhm.
courses I'm taking abroad because I connect with a lot of USC people when I say, okay, I'm doing business major. They have a general idea of what you're doing, but when you're abroad, I could be completing my other electives rather than my business electives. So I just put all my classes that I'm taking, just as detailed as possible, just threw them on there. For example, the business case competition and several presentations I've done in class, actually, like marketing class or whatever, I throw them on and I actually tag the people that I did my project with. So um, people who go on their profile can see that project as well. Just these little things, it definitely doesn't come overnight, but don't think something is too small to put on LinkedIn because the more information you put on there, the more information the other person will get.
Absolutely. Thanks for the tips, Leo. I appreciate it. We have a couple of questions in the chat. I want to address those and then we'll jump back into this. One is this, is there a feature or technique on LinkedIn for networking related to more so to projects versus company, or more so to projects versus company? I get it, not more so to projects. So yeah, that was on our previous workshop where we talked a little bit more about the profile. So I'm going to go ahead and go into my profile over here. And within your profile section, you can embed your projects in this featured section. So you can actually link to your projects, super, super powerful to do that. You can also add a profile section where we have a section for adding projects. In my opinion, I would do both because then people can see it in multiple places. But that's what I would do with adding projects to your profile, and then you want to actually go and search companies. And so we can dive a little bit deeper on that right now because I want to show you how to use this alumni tool before I answer some of these other questions that are in the chat, which we really appreciate, by the way. Let's say that you are interested, and I'm going to take Leo as an example because he wants to work in the airline industry, and specifically, let's say Southwest, right? So you can go over here and go into the alumni set tab. And for those of you that might be transfer students, the school you were at previously, it's on here too, right? And so those alumni can help you get where you want to go in your career. Click on this ad and type in whatever company you're interested in. Let's see how many Southwest. 51 people currently work at Southwest that are USC alum or current students, right? And we show you again where they live and what they do for a living. And so you can actually sit here and go, you know what, I'm really interested in business development because you want to maybe be in sales someday, like I am, right? Or you want to be an engineer. You can actually narrow this down. And once you find these people, you can click on their profile and then do that connection request we were talking about. This is a gold mine. Like, this is a gold mine for you. I just want to tell you how imperative this is that you use this network to get where you want to go in your career. One of the benefits of going to a school like USC is you have a really, really big alumni network, and we are proud of that alumni, right? We call ourselves the Trojan family, right? For a reason. So being able to take advantage of that and go, okay, you know what, I'm thinking about going into engineering and I want to know if anybody from, USC is there. Boom, software engineering, boom, senior training designer, boom. Message them just like we showed you, right? Customized connection request, who you are and why are you reaching out? And I would always start with, I'm a current student at USC. Do you have time for an informational interview? Really straightforward. All right, I'm going to jump into some more questions here before we move on. Try to connect with me, Bill, job, but unfortunately, I've already reached the limit of the number of people who request a connection for the week. Oh, so you've reached the limit of the people you can. Oh, wow. I don't know. I mean, I think that if you've reached that limit, I'd be interested to know what that limit is. Go ahead.
It happened to me once.
Oh, go ahead.
all I had to do was to just wait maybe 2 or 3 hours and exit out of the app, and it just came back for me.
Oh, okay, so you
Maybe
signed
that
out of
was
the
a
app?
glitch, I don't know, but
Okay.
it happened to me once.
All right, so maybe sign out of the app and sign back in. I mean, one of the things here, Amisha, remember, for good or for bad, what we're trying to do is we're trying to eliminate spamming, right? And so that's part of the issue, is that most people aren't going to be doing a lot of connecting like you are, legitimately. Most people are going to be trying to grow their network so that they can remember what I said, when you actually connect to somebody, you can message them. So most of the people that are trying to increase their network as quickly as you are, through our algorithm and through AI, we know that most of those people are nefarious, or they're salespeople that are trying to take advantage of the platform for selling. So so I would try to do it a little bit more organically and let your network grow over time. By the way, again, shameless plug for our next workshop, but posting content on your platform, you'll be crazy. You'll trip how quickly your network grows when you post content on your platform. So somebody has posted that they don't want people to see your photo with your real name on it. And will it accept your acceptance rate because people can't see your photo? This is a really, really important question. LinkedIn is really committed to eliminating harassment, and not harassment, I mean, they are, but and eliminating biases when it comes to recruiting. And this is a very difficult thing to do. So what we are doing is we are affording our recruiters that use the platform the opportunity to anonymize everybody, so that they can really base their recruiting based on skills. I will tell you that it isn't, you know, for human nature, it is important to be able to see who you're connecting with. And again, hopefully I've given you more confidence that LinkedIn is a different type of platform that's committed to your safety and your security. So my thought process, this is just me, is that my vision of being private is gone in 2023. If somebody wants to see who I am, what I look like, there's no stopping them, because there are too many other social media platforms where my image is out there. If somebody wants to see who I am, they just need to Google it. So I feel like because there is no real privacy in 2023, what I want to do with LinkedIn is I want to be able to curate exactly what my professional brand is. So I get to dictate how you think of me in a professional setting. So that's why I have my profile picture on, and I want people to know that. But I get where you're coming from, where you want to kind of keep yourself more private. You know, it may affect you a little bit, because there is always this wonder of why, right? But it isn't the end of the world. There's still a lot of opportunity for you. Another question: how many questions should people collect from an informational interview? If I only have 1 or 2 questions for an interview, would it be disturbing to others? I feel like you know, if you don't have a lot of questions, I would just Google great informational interview questions. By the way, you have folks like Sarah and others on your campus that can definitely help you understanding how to do an informational interview. USC has one of the best career counselors in the game. I'm biased, of course, but I work with a lot. Let me just through it this way. I work with every UC, every CSU, USC, Stanford. So USC, and they're head and shoulders above all the others. So I would reach out to them if you're not comfortable with asking informational interview questions. One thing I will tell you this: when you ask people about themselves, they talk. So it's not super hard. Leo, you've done some informational interview questions. What do you think?
Yeah, just honestly ask them, for example, I didn't know about like the role specifically. I was like, can you maybe give me some examples of what you've done? What's the most exciting project you were staff on recently? Like, just start from somewhere small, I guess. This is not necessarily where I start, but honestly, just how you would make conversation. It's very informal, in my opinion. It's not like like we call it informational interview, but it's not really like an interview or anything.
I totally agree with you. And thank you for calling that out. It shouldn't be that heavy, my friend. It really should be just a casual conversation with somebody that may be able to give you some pointers. And by the way, what you're looking for, in my opinion, is a vibe. It's like you're looking for, is this person cool and want to talk with you and want to help you? Or is this person like, yeah, okay, yeah, and just wants to get off the phone, right? And so that's what I would be doing if I were you. The big thing is just asking for it and having that conversation. Make it nice and simple. Really good point. We got a question about where you put courses and recent projects on LinkedIn, and should you write posts for things like this or simply add them to your profile? So if you go to LinkedIn Learning as an example, and you take content on LinkedIn Learning, you can actually post that certificate of completion to your profile under licenses and certifications. It's not just with LinkedIn Learning, like just about any certificate that you get, any badge, you can actually post that under your licenses and certificates. And again, with projects, you can decide to put them in your featured section. You can post about them, which I think is a great idea. And then you can feature that post. So there are all kinds of things that you can do with that. Where can I find the recording? Sarah, we're going to be posting that recording later, right?
Yes, it will be posted on our YouTube page.
Can you show us how to connect with someone, please? So sure, I can do that really quickly. When you think about connecting with somebody, what you're going to do is you're going to find the person that you want to connect with. You click on their name right here, and then you click on this connect button, and then you add a note. It's that easy. It's that easy. All right. You find the person you want to connect with, click on connect, add a note. On the app, you're going to want to tap on more, or tap on, it might be 3 dots, and it'll say personalized invitation. That's it. All right. So really, really simple to grow your network and connect with people. Let's see, we got some more questions. I answered that live. Do you have any suggestions for setting up informational interviews? In my opinion, it is really straightforward. It is in that connection request, you let them know, hey, I'm a current student. I noticed you're working at Southwest. It's my dream company. Do you have 5 minutes for an informational interview? Short, simple, sweet. Leo, how did you set up an informational interview?
Just asking, like it was included. And so for the personal invite, actually, there is a word limit to it. So you kind of have to keep it short and sweet. It kind of forces you to do that. So usually a sentence about who I am. I always put I'm a current student at USC, and then how I found their profile, or what I am curious about their position, because we're still undergrads or graduate students. We're looking for opportunities, obviously. And the last sentence will be happy to connect. If you want to set up an informational interview with that person, you just ask, do you have any availability this week or next week to chat?
And again, here's the deal. If you don't ask, you don't get. If you don't ask, you don't get. And when you ask, especially virtually, the worst thing that can happen is that they ghost you. Like that's the worst. So you're in a situation with social media and with this type of platform that it's pretty benign putting yourself out there, because you're not going to have somebody slam the door on you. I mean, think about like the worst experiences, like a door-to-door salesman. They knock on the door, somebody opens up the door and they like start talking and somebody slams the door in your face. Like that sucks. I've done that before. I used to cold call. Cold calling sucks. You pick up the phone and somebody says, don't ever call me again. I hate you. Right? That happens all the time. When you're on social media and you're like, hi, I'm a student and would love an informational interview. I've never heard of any student going, some dude reached out to me and yelled at me because I tried to connect with him. The ghosting is the only thing that happens. So really just push yourself past your comfort zone and ask for it. Amisha put in the chat or the Q&A that it's 500 connection requests is where it stops at a week. Congrats, you are the first person, and I've done workshops for years, that has ever reached the limit of 500. You are really going for gold there. So props to you. And she says it resets in a week. So thank you for letting us know. Most people I coach, I'm just telling 5 connection requests a day, 5 a day. And then you're 25 a week, and maybe ask for a couple informational interviews, because you only have a certain amount of bandwidth and they only have a certain amount of bandwidth. So it gives you a little bit of time. Yes, the workshop is going to be recorded for you all. Justin, I I can't remember when the content workshop is going to be. Sarah, do you want to plug that real quick? When the content workshop is going to be? We're going to talk more about content in the content workshop. So we're really focusing today on growing your network. But real quickly, types of content you should post is really things that are more career centric and things that you maybe have accomplished, but really focus more on how do you give back to the network, failures that you've overcome, things like that. We'll talk more about that in the content post. What are the benefits of premium? I don't really think there are a lot of benefits to premium. First of all, half of the cost of premium goes to LinkedIn Learning. So if you're a current student at USC, you get LinkedIn Learning for free. Therefore, half of premium is worthless. The other stuff that you get, which is you get 15 direct messages instead of 3, who cares? You get to see people who see your profile, who cares? You know, I don't really think it's necessary. By the way, LinkedIn Premium is designed for people with 5 years outside of college. So I just don't think you need it. It's really expensive. It really, really is. What's the stance on LinkedIn recommendations? Oh, really, really good. Thank you for bringing that up, Chris. If you can get a recommendation, it is powerful. You don't like endorsements, not as powerful. So let me go to the difference between endorsements and recommendations. So endorsements are people that will actually endorse your skills. Not as big of a deal because my mom can endorse my sales skill. All right. In fact, I think she has because I told her to. But a recommendation takes time and effort for people to think. It's like a letter of recommendation, and those are pretty powerful. So if you can get recommendations on LinkedIn, that is kind of the gold standards. And then as far as good to have them invite manager coworkers, yes, I totally think you can have your managers and coworkers write recommendations for you. Should I put a post for joining USC as a student, or could you share a suggestion? Okay, I like the idea of you showcasing that you were accepted to USC. That's a great idea. But I would also want to kind of phrase it with, you know, how many applications did you put out there, right? What kind of things did you do to get there? Because remember, we don't want it to be all brag and no real like bite with the content. You want to try to think of how can you make it more accessible for other people that maybe didn't get to their dream school? That's what I would love to see. Leo, any feedback from you, my friend?
I think you've covered it mostly. I really just I've posted maybe 3 things. Let me check back. I think I posted like an industry, one of my point of view kind of thing, and then like the case competition, not to brag, but also to like
Right.
thank all the people that helped me in the case competition. Same for the internship posting.
Yep.
I really posted it to thank all the people who helped me throughout the process and just interact with people, share the good news, bring some positivity because I was actually chatting with Ryan earlier this semester when I was really stressed out with recruiting and everything as an international student. Ryan said the same thing to me: control what you can control, but not the other parts that you cannot control, basically.
Try
So,
not to stress out. Just try not to
Yeah.
stress the stuff you can't control.
So yeah, post is a good way to give back to the community and bring some personal opinion on certain knowledge that you want to
Put out
share.
there. Yep. So real quickly, we only have a minute or so left. Thank you all so much for the questions. We really appreciate that you've been engaged and hope that you've enjoyed this workshop. The last questions are around asking for a referral, and I'm thinking about like a referral to a job. And that is much more, I think you should wait to have a real relationship with that person, have had an informational interview, have maybe had a couple of meetings with that person where they feel comfortable being able to vouch for you. Right. And that's what I would do if I were you. I've had a few people reach out to me that I don't even know just because I'm a first degree connection. They're like, hey, can you refer me to this job? No, I don't know who you are. I don't. It only takes me 5 or 10 minutes to get to know you and maybe feel more comfortable. So I would try to have that informational interview and that conversation. And then here's what I think. If you like that person and you think they can help you with your career, I would ask them at the end of the informational interview, can we do this again? Do you mind if we have another call in 2 weeks or a month, please? And they'll say yes, no, yes, boom. Have that conversation, and then you can ask for the referral. I think we are at time. I want to be respectful of everybody's time. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Sarah, anything you want to say to wrap up?
No, thank you so much, everybody, for your questions. And again, thank you, Ryan and Leo, for your time today and all of your valuable insight and your stories. We will all see you next time on March 21st at 12 p.m.
There you go. March 21st, 12 p.m. Leo, hey, thank you so much, my friend. I really appreciate you jumping on this call all the way from Portugal. Although I'm not jealous that you're in Portugal, my friend.
Yeah, I went surfing today this morning.
Oh, I
so-
see how it is. Brag to everybody. There we go. I'm just kidding. Take care, everybody.
Right, fight on.
Okay, see ya. Bye,
Yeah.
Don.